time for tea time, our favorite part. And
yes.
Of course, we have the amazing, beautiful Lea here. So why don't we start by, we got to take a step back and give everybody an overview of who you are again. So tell us, how old are you? How many children do you have? How long have you been married? And you are on.
Yep, go ahead and unmute first.
Yes,
there
ma'am.
We go.
I am 40. I have 2 children of my own, and my husband came with 4 of his. So we are a family of 8 altogether. I am the owner of Square Biz Exchange, and I assist business owners in finding ways to network and promote their businesses and make profitable relationships. And I'm also the director of marketing for InfluencHer Magazine, which is a women's-based magazine on all things ladies. So I'm excited to talk with you guys tonight.
Awesome. Yes, we are excited to have you back. And she failed to mention that she's also Capricorn. We found that out the last time. I just want to throw that out there.
Yes.
I just had to add that in
there. I am. We together.
There we go. We together. Listen.
Y'all know what? So I listened to Murder Mysteries, and the lady was like, I'm going to start telling y'all the zodiac signs of people because it is very humbling, is what she said. And she was like, you know, people be like, oh, I can never do that, or how did this happen? Then they be like, oh, that was a Aquarius, and you're like, ooh.
Right. That explains everything.
Right.
It's all Capricorns. We do it. We claim it. We okay with it. We do it.
Listen.
Yeah. All right. So I think to get us started, so you called it, was it Thotting and Bopping?
Oh, what did you say?
Thotting and Bopping. I was Thotting and Bopping.
So first, let's start by, so this is your single journey into marriage. So why don't you tell us about that last single experience that you called, your words, not mine. Because we call it smashing and dashing.
Right, listen.
I was Thotting and Bopping.
Thotting and Bopping. I love it.
So just to recap, for those who didn't get to hear it before, I moved from New York to Maryland once my daughter's father and I had decided to separate. And I needed space, not, you know, like you live in one town and I live in town. I needed space, like, you know, you can't get to me because you don't have no car, and I'm not coming to you because I'm not driving down 95. So we took the space that we needed. And in that time, I figured this was the first time I had been single since I was 17 years old.
Wow.
And I had experienced all of 15 years.
Wow. That's a big chunk of your life. And you know, that coming of age time as well. Wow.
And so just to be clear, how old were you when you got with him? And then how old were you when you decided to leave?
I was 16 when we first started dating. We had broken up for a period of time, and then we got back together. He was 18. When we had our daughter, I was turning 18 and he was turning 20. And then we were together till I was about 30, 31. And that's when we were kind of like, this isn't working, but we'll still kind of play back and forth because we have a kid. And then when I turned like 35, I was like, this is a wrap. So like, who's going to say cut first? Like, it was just, but as long as we had our daughter, we kind of still found ways to have conversation. He would be different. I would be different. And at a certain point, we were just like, this is a wash. He ended up dating someone else. And then I really kind of was like, okay, we've moved on. And then I ended up dating someone else. And we were just like, at this point, everybody do their thing.
Wow.
So I was doing my thing.
That's where the term comes from.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back, or what made you say we don't need to be together anymore?
We went through a lot of domestic violence stuff in the beginning. It was never acceptable, but it was something I experienced as a kid with my own parents. So I didn't want to be the quitter. And I sometimes reflected on my father, was if your mom had stayed, we would still be together. And I didn't want to be the quitter for my daughter. So I stayed a lot of times when I should have left. And he stayed a lot of times when he should have left, because at a certain point, I'm be very candid, the violence wasn't one-sided anymore. I was going to fight back. I was like the lady on Tyler Perry movie. You ain't, I'm gonna leave you in the bathtub. So I definitely started to see a person inside of me that I didn't want to be. And I didn't want my daughter to continue to watch this volatile relationship. I think what it really took is that he would disappoint her. And so for me, as I continued to see her disappointed, with him, I started to develop anger and resentment. So it was a lot harder to be in this parenting relationship or for the sake of our daughter because you weren't treating her well. And then at one point, my daughter turned to me and she was like, why are we here? Like, why are we visiting? Why are we doing this? And I was like, well, I was doing this for you. And she was like, don't. And so I was like, you want to leave? And we left.
Wow.
She left in her junior year of high school and we left.
You said it was her junior year?
She sure did.
Wow,
which is huge. Year of high school.
Yeah, that's a huge year. So she was like done. Like, I cannot continue to see this.
She was done, and it was just too much. And he was going through a lot of things. We were trying to support him through that, and it was just we were both exhausted. And I just didn't. I wanted somebody who really cared about me just as much as I cared about them. And at that point, to be honest, I'll see people, I'll do whatever, but I lied to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm so glad that your daughter was able to speak up, right? And that you were able to listen to her and hear what she's saying to kind of get her perspective. Because I know that a lot of times parents do think, okay, the best thing for me to do is to sit here, and do this for my child. But then eventually the child is like, you didn't do this for me,
Right.
I think that you're doing this for me, but you're really not. It's hurting me to watch this or to have to be a witness to this, and you're also teaching me.
Yeah,
absolutely,
which is huge. But shout out to, you offered giving her that voice too, to be like, no, like, stop. Because some kids will kind of just go in a shell and not say anything, or just think that this is my normal, so it's okay, like, this is what my mom is doing. But your daughter was like, no, I've had enough, like, this is hurting me, it's hurting you both, like, I want to see better. And you said a word like disappointment. I think disappointment is such a huge word. I remember one time my mom told me she was disappointed in me, and it like crushed my whole heart. Like, I was just like, man, oh my God.
I know, that's probably the worst thing that a child can hear.
Yes, like, how do you recover from disappointment? Yeah. Like, it is so hard. So I was like, ooh, I never want her to have to say those words to me again, because it's just such powerful words and what they mean. So yeah, I think that part of it made her be like, no, like, I cannot continue to see this from my parents.
And I think it's given her strong values now as she starts her own navigation through men in life. And, at 21, my daughter is particular in her journey. She's definitely determined to live her best life first. So like when we were talking about my daughter leaving, she's leaving at an age where I had a 3-year-old. So for me, it's so nice to see somebody actually live out their dreams when it wasn't even my dream. It wasn't my reality. It wasn't an option. So that's kind of why I want to make sure that all these things that she wants so bad for herself, I support her in, because I didn't have that choice.
No, that's amazing. And it's great that you're able to witness that, to feel, to know that you had your own battles that you had to overcome as a mother, but then you're able to see the change in your child, able to see like, okay, my child is putting herself first, she's choosing her, she's doing things, like you said, that maybe you didn't get the opportunity to do. So you've got to feel proud as a mom, right? Like, look at my baby going off to Paris.
Yes, shout out to you, because you did that.
It really is. It's a breaking of generational curses, which is what I'm really focused on with her. My mother at 23 had me. I had my daughter when I was 18, like I was telling you. And for my daughter to now become 22 and have not a shed of, I don't have no grandkid, I don't have one on the way. It's just really like, she's going to live her best life first. And she was like, I might, adopt a boy from Indonesia, but, so she's trying to spend her coins. So I really just want to make sure that the legacy that I leave after I'm gone is that you have value, and you need to find somebody who finds you valuable. And so I'm so proud of her. Absolutely. I'm so proud of her. But in watching her, she's taught me, a lot of times you hear a lot of times when teenage moms talk about, I grew up with my kid. I absolutely grew up with my kid. The road we've traveled wasn't easy, but she's definitely made me make decisions or speak louder at times when I wanted to be quiet. She's always my cheerleader. She did my low light that y'all looking at, my lighting.
No, that's really
she
that's really amazing that she's able to.
My right. And so when you have the, you have like the best right hand man.
No, but that's really great that that she was able to help shape you, because part of that was probably even her purpose, you know what I mean, to kind of help you be intentional about breaking up those generational curses. And you know what a feat that is, you know, for you. But I was wondering, so I mean, if you were with him that long, it had to be difficult, right? Like even after you had your daughter's blessing, it has to be difficult to walk away from a relationship that you were in that long, especially from 16, you know, because that's such a pivotal time, and it becomes almost a part of who you are when you're with someone for 15 years. So what gave you the strength to actually walk away and leave? And what did that even look like?
To be honest, I was never with him because I loved him. I was running away from my family life, and he was very accepting of me being with him and being safe. So once he was accepting of that, how could you not love somebody who helps you get through high school? It was more about how he could help me. And so I've never romantically loved him. I don't think ever.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But he was just your like safety net. Mm-hmm.
He was definitely my security, and he was somebody who, whatever I needed, he would ride for me. So how do you leave that? How do you, you know, as bad as it got, it was also, if I needed him, he was there. So how do you let that part go? But it came to a point where I started to, you know, get bigger in my real estate business, start to do things where people started to notice me, and I noticed his behavior changed, and he was like, you don't need me anymore. And I was like, that's not true. And I didn't, to be honest with you. I became this persona, which a lot of people know me as the boss lady. And as a Capricorn, as you know, once you develop this strength in yourself, you really don't need to rely on somebody else to boost you up. And so he would watch me go to events and stuff, and he was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to support you being, you know, independent. And I was like, well, I'll go with somebody else. So it just kind of became a distancing. I didn't need safety anymore. I needed companionship and financial security, and he wasn't that person. So
wow.
We moved forward.
Wow. That's, you said a lot of great things. I think one of them being like you found your own like light, like you realized the light within you, the light that you had. And he just wasn't there to, you know, enjoy the light. He was kind of like, nah, like I can't handle this.
It's almost like he was supporting you when you were the underdog.
Yeah.
Within the second where you actually started to make headway, then he was like, I ain't gonna support her no more, because God forbid she actually make it.
Yeah.
You know, so it seems like he wasn't really supporting you. He was supporting your dependence on him.
Yeah.
But once
and he was happy to see me, he was happy to see me grow as long as it benefited him. So my financial raises were great, you know, getting tickets to ball games and him going out and doing things. All that was beneficial. But when it became to like, you know, I got an award or I got a promotion, you know, he was like, why are you making such a big deal? And I'd be like, because I'm a big deal.
Exactly. So it's a big deal. That's why. Look.
And I worked hard for this.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And you know what? Like, there's all these memes and quotes and stuff about how, you know, you got to watch how people support you, because everybody who's rooting ain't cheering, and everybody, like, you know, they got all these sayings and things like that. But unfortunately, it's true. You know, everybody in your circle ain't in your corner, and blah, 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 blah. I could go on and on about all these.
And don't let everybody pray for you. A lot of times he'd be like, I'm praying for your, you know, I'm praying for you to, you know, be a better person. I'm praying for you to be successful. I'm praying for you to whatever. And I'd be like, hold up, I don't know if these are real intentional prayers of goodness, or you're praying because you don't want me to leave you. It's really like, I'm praying for you to be successful, but here, I want you to be successful where you're at. I don't want you to change who you are. And I think the other big part of it is I met him when I was 16. Yeah. As we know, as women, my 16 is not my 20. My 20 is not my 35. My 35 damn sure ain't my 40.
Right.
So at 40, I'm unapologetically who I am. I'm not sorry now. So as I got older, I was like, certain things I just won't tolerate. Certain drama I just won't do now. I'm not gonna be the girl chasing to see if, somebody in your DMs. Tell her I said hi. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know what to tell you. So
not tell her I said hi.
Hey,
yeah, I mean, it's just if a man wants to be with you, he will make all full intention to be with you. That's not something you have to look for. I can, if you look at your 20-year-old self, you were, concerned, or, if she say something or whatever. And now in my 40s, I'm like, you love him, I love him too. Shoot.
Dang.
This is what happened.
I love
That's
it.
Right. So
no, but it's so amazing, how you're the journey and the development, because like you said, obviously at 16 you have a different mindset, right? And you were running away from, and I had a mentor who told me one time, never run away from, always run to, right? Like be intentional about what you're running to. So what I hear you say is that you were fleeing your family and found safety in him, but it wasn't purposeful, right? So he really didn't serve you, right? And you got to learn that as you grew. So in the short term, it sounded like he did because you thought he was cheering for you and you thought he was rooting for you, but then when it didn't benefit him, and that's how you always know, because people will cheer and clap for you if they reap the benefits of it. Mm-hmm. But the second that it disturbs them, then all of a sudden you did something to them, even when you're trying to serve yourself. Yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to realize that, and that your daughter was able to realize that as well, and that you were able to break those cycles, because if you grew up witnessing that, although you may, and even with the blessing of your daughter, wanted to leave, sometimes those patterns, those cycles, they're hard to break. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've been realizing is that, you know how they call drug addicts drug habits. Yes. Right. And you have to go to rehab, right, to break the habit. I think that people can be addictions. Absolutely. You can be addicted to certain types of personalities, to certain types of behavior. So then how did you make sure that you didn't leave him and then go to somebody like him?
Well, that's definitely what you're talking about, the rehab part. So when I moved to Maryland, I didn't know any. I had a few family members here. I didn't know people. I didn't have coworkers. I didn't have, friends. Nobody was here. Mm-hmm. So the rehab is that on a Friday night, it was just me. My daughter was at the age where she was, going back and forth to New York and seeing her friends. And I was kind of home on the couch. Mm-hmm. And in the rebuilding, there was nothing left to do but be with myself. So I had to do a lot of reflecting. I had my best friend. And so when I got to a space where I felt like I was willing to present this new person to the world, I didn't know how to do that. I have not been in the dating game ever, like since I was in high school. In high school, you wrote somebody a note, you said, I like you, and they said, I like you too. Now there's internets and, catfishing, and I was so like I have mentioned, Carmen was like, let's do this challenge, 30 days. Let's go on a dating site and see what happens. And we have to take every date. And I was like, bro, every date. So we just started kind of seeing what was out there, and it was a lot of dead fish. Mm-hmm. it was a lot of dead end conversation. It was a lot of what they were looking for, they was gonna get. What I was looking for, I was gonna get. And at that point, I didn't want ties. I didn't want labels. I didn't want relationship. I don't want you to have a key in my house. I don't want you coming to my house. It was definitely that I wanted to protect my peace, but also I wanted to see what the world had to offer. Mm-hmm. So I had gone on dates with secret security for the president. I went on a date with a guy, and he he was the, state attorney general's office manager. And that was our date. He took me to his office to show me where he worked. I had a man take me on a tour of Baltimore, and he took me to the hood first. And he was like, you should know about this because you're from New York. And I was like, I don't know about the hood in New York, but if this is what you think the hood is, hey, let's explore it. I had a guy give me a street sign that said New York Giants on it as a flower. Instead of flowers at my door, he gave me a street sign, and he was like, you must be a Giants fan. I am, but that's not a gift. I have had dinner in holes in the wall. I drove an hour and a half to get a chicken box with mambo sauce. I have had experiences, but what I learned is what I liked. What do I like? Who do I like? What characteristics did each person have? Because I was going to build this person I wanted to spend time with from that. Right. So there was a lot of thought in about it. There was some times when I was like, I don't know your name, but let's go eat. It was a lot of that. And then also being young, you don't have many sexual experiences because you've dated the person that you've had your first sexual encounter with, and then you've been with them for so long. I had to test the water. Mm-hmm. Some of that water was luke cold. Some of that water was kind of hot. Okay. But you definitely have to experience life. And that's Absolutely. What, when a lot of parents tell their children experience life, the reason why is because you don't know what you like until you tried it.
Absolutely.
When I was a kid, I used to tell my daughter, I'd be like, take a no thank you bite. Just try it anyway. Mm-hmm. And she'd be like, I don't want to do this. I don't care. Which made me take risk of things I didn't know if I liked. I didn't know if I liked, Caucasian men or Indian men, or I had to take no thank you bites. So I did.
That's a good, I like the visual of it, because that is true. Like from 16 to 34, 35, like that's a long time to be with the same person. So it is like you're having to experience that coming of age time in your life, like after that time, I guess you can say. So yeah, and I love the no thank you bites. Like you don't know what you don't like until you've experienced it to have Absolutely. Some type of baseline for it.
So then we went through this 30 days, and on our 30th day, the man who's now my husband decided to send me a DM. He slid in my DMs.
On the 30th day?
On the 30th day, honey, wow. On the 30th day. And at the time, Carmen had met a guy, and his name was Mr. Right. And I was like, girl, you done met Mr. Right. You got him. Hook, line, and sinker. Anything that had the word right in it, I was like, he gonna write you later. I was definitely just kind of, because I had felt like I had failed this project, and she found Mr. Right. I was planning their wedding and everything. And he slid into my DMs. I had on a Giant shirt in my profile picture, and he said, your team sucks.
No.
And I said, now, Chanel, you know what I'm talking about. Who are you talking?
Right. Like, what? Excuse you. Okay. Excuse you.
And you like the Eagles? Like, no, bro. What do you mean? So it started a conversation, and he was like, we started talking about New York and things. And he was like, you're probably one of those girls who, wear red bottoms and all that. And I said, well, by the way, I do. And so he had shown me a pair of shoes, and he was like, well, do you like these? And I said, I do. And I was like, yeah. So he told me he had 4 kids and an ex-wife, and he worked in the government. And I was like, well, 4 kids, ex-wife. Maybe the government you can keep, but them other things got to go. I was not. And so I said, you're really nice. I hope you have a nice night. I'm getting off of this today. And he said, can I have your phone number? And I said, no, you can't. And he said, well, give me your phone number, and maybe our paths will cross. So the next day he called again. And I was like, I just said, man, I'm not interested. And I was doing my math homework at the time for college. And he was like, I'm really good at math. Let me help you. And so we sat on the phone for 4 hours. He helped me with my homework.
Wow.
So then I was like, well, I got homework again next week.
All right.
You have a recurring meeting.
I'm just saying, I got a homework project.
Girl with this calculus, please. Where was he when I needed help in calculus? That's what I was.
So he would just every day he would help me with my homework, and he would check on me. He would make sure I was good, and then it was his weekend to have his kids. And I was like, you can tell a lot about a man with their kids.
Yes,
ladies, you can. Don't rule all men out because they have children, but you can learn a lot about a man by the way they take care of their children. So he has a daughter and 2 sons that are younger and an older daughter. And he was watching his younger kids, and he was watching Frozen with her. And I was like, why are you watching it? And he said, because this is how I let her know I'm present. Mm. And I was like, okay. And so they kept talking, and she kept trying to look at the phone to see like who he was talking to. And I said, hi. And she said, hi, you like my daddy.
I
said,
no filter.
No, I don't.
Right. And you was like, your daddy like me. How about that?
Right. Exactly. Your dad is just my tutor now.
Your dad don't know I had a date yesterday.
Okay.
But yeah, so he said to me, we hadn't met. We were just talking on the phone. And he said, can I take you to dinner? And I said, sure, but let me be clear. I'm not looking for nothing, don't want nothing. So we can.
You're breaking up a little bit. There we go. Breaking up a little bit.
Okay. So is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So we ended up hanging out, and the next day he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna stay out your way another night. And I was like, why? For who? Who are you staying out here for? And he was like, I just figured I'd stay out this way for 2 nights instead of having to drive all the way back to, he's from DC. And I was like, wait a minute, you want to stay out here with a girl and you just took me out last night? No. I said, well, I'm free for another day. So I hung out, and it was real easy. So I said, I'd like to date you, but I'm not the guy who's going to see you one night and leave. And I said, well, that's what I want. And he was like, well, that's not who I am. And I said, well, okay, you have 26 days, because it was like the 4th of the month. I said, you have 26 days to convince me as to why. Like, okay. And every day that man drove from DC to me up from school and drove me home. Every day.
And I'm so like, do you know how many tolls and gas,
right,
and traffic this man was sitting there?
That's some perseverance to be like, all right, I can show you better than I can tell you. Like, right. That's some
and that's
action.
What he did. That's what he did every day. How much he cared, and at the time my daughter was a food,
Okay.
We're having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, the connection is a little choppy right now. So you're going in and out. But no, I mean, he kept his word. He wasn't playing no games. So you gotta like that. Right. I love that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, she gave him a request and he followed through. And for that, I could appreciate that, because man. And from DC to Maryland too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure some tolls involved with that route.
Gas alone. Traffic would have had me at
Yeah, I would have been like, you know what? This long distance ain't gonna work, okay?
Right.
Like, I'm out on that. But when you know, you know, I guess that's what they say. When you know, you know. So I'm not mad at that. He clearly knew, like, wow, 30 days. Now I want to know, like, what?
Okay.
Awesome. Yes.
Sorry.
Better. No, you're
fine. I needed my, and actually that's my husband who fixed it. He was like, you need technical assistance.
Yes, we need technical support. Look.
Yes, I do.
Listen, come on, husband.
So
you did that.
You told him that he had 26 days.
26 days to get it right.
That is funny. And what did he like? And his response was like, all right, bet, I got it.
He was like, oh, that's easy. And I was like, And so during that time, he wasn't my focus. But as he became more and more attentive, I was like, how am I going to get rid of you? Like, you're doing all the right things, and you're supportive of the fact that I have a kid, and you're present. And I had never had anybody, including my father, be a man who was consistently present.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have somebody who's not going away, you really can't get rid of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did that like scare you in any way?
Absolutely. And there were like 2 times when I was like, nope, I'm good. You know, you go live your life.
Trying to self-sabotage.
Yeah, right. I was just about to say, well, how did you prevent yourself from the self-sabotage? Because that's what I do best.
Okay, you gonna stop saying
okay,
that.
I do need to
that's
stop
number
saying
one.
that. But it is true, like you just
man.
be so afraid where it's just like, I don't know. Like or for me in my case, just like I don't want to go through this again.
I think what I had to learn to accept is that I've already made it through a breakup once. So if we were to break up again, I would survive that in all them years. I can survive whatever comes after that.
Amen. Yes.
So, you know, at a certain point, he was, my lease was up, his lease was up, and we were like, so now what are we going to do? And I was like, well, I need a roommate because this rent over here high. and you at my house every day eating all my food. So this just doesn't make sense. So we decided to move in together. And then I really got to see him as a parent because when his kids came to visit, I was home. And then as time went by, we decided that we wanted to get engaged. So we did. And we were going to live this life where we just kind of like toured the world. We had kids and, you know, I didn't have any little kids, so we could do whatever we wanted. And we went out and had a really good night and I got a baby.
You have little kids.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
When I tell you, this man, when he met me, he said, you're going to be my wife and you're going to have my baby. And I said, you must be crazy. I'm not doing neither nor. I'm thotting and bopping, and that's not.
And that's it. That's it.
So he said, I think you're pregnant. And I was like, you don't put that on me. Like, no. And so he said, I'm going to get a test. He did. He went to Target. He came back with the 2 test pack. And I peed on them things. They said, cha-ching. And I said, no. And I said, go back and get another one. And that man went back to that store 4 times. I had like a whole rack of tests.
A whole row.
I was like, no. So,
that is funny. He is such a man of his word, though. Like, I say,
had me at homework. Let me tell you something. Like, man, homework too. Look, sound like a keeper to me. I don't care if you have 17 kids, sir. If you are willing to invest in me and my education and therefore my future, that means you love me. That's what I heard.
That is,
you love me.
That is real.
Well, then we started going places and he was my cheerleader. He was like, yo, go do it. Go get it. Go, you know, whatever. Do this, do that. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, I got you. So he would cook and he would clean and he would take care of my baby. And I was like, walking in and out. And he was like, you're good. Go do it. And we just kind of kept doing that to the point where I was like, you know, whatever. And he was like, so are we getting married or what? And I was like, okay. And we decided, you know, we picked a date. We August 24th and we got married and nobody was there, just the 3 of us, my daughter, myself, and my husband. And
I love it.
And everybody would be like, and it was crazy because when we started dating, everybody was like, oh, and then when we had a baby, everybody was like, oh, and then we got married and they were like, okay, now what is you doing? So I definitely had a friend check and they were like, wait a minute, you're like the ringleader of We're Gonna Be Hoes. And I was like, I got to give my card to somebody else because, you know, my thotting and bopping days got to be over.
You was like, upon further review, there's some discussion, you know, with myself and the trajectory of the plan has changed. The mission, abort the plan, abort the mission. This is not a drill. We found a good man.
I mean, I'm just saying, like that has to feel good. Right.
It wasn't easy. A lot of things that I'm triggered by, he had to learn. Because when you go through relationships that are traumatic or toxic for anybody, the next person who comes into your life, you have to really be transparent about what's going to make you go off, what's going to hurt your feelings, what somebody else has done to you that makes you uncomfortable. I can't curse at my husband. He doesn't appreciate it and he doesn't like it. But I'm a sailor, so that's really hard for me because you're going to stop your right now. And he's like, if you speak to me and you're upset with me, don't curse it. And so if I say to him, and if I'm upset with you, don't walk towards me. As a Capricorn, you already know we need some space. So if you walk towards me and you're upset, my instinct is now I'm ready to go. Like,
it's defend. Yeah, I got to defend myself.
Right. So I had to learn his triggers. He had to learn mine. But I also had to learn that we're going to error and we're going to make mistakes. Right. He's going to say something and he's not going to do it. I'm going to do something. I'm not going to say it. And with that comes the opportunity that we're always going to be in forgiveness. We're constantly going to be in forgiveness of your partner. So the journey from single to married was, in single, I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for poor choices, for being in places where I wasn't loved, for accepting things that weren't good enough, for not feeling worthy. And then in married, I have to forgive my partner. I have to forgive myself when I err to him. I have to expect forgiveness from him when I do things. So it's really the whole cycle of the same steps that you have to give yourself, you have to give someone else.
Right.
And the vows are true. My husband had triple bypass surgery in December. And for 8 hours, he would not come back out of anesthesia after surgery. So when they said, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, I have tested all of that.
Wow.
And whether we fight or we don't agree or we don't like each other that day, there is no one else in this world that I would rather have my back than him.
I love it.
That's wow.
Yeah, because you know that he does have your back, right? Because he's been the cheerleader. He was there
very
helping
consistent.
You through college. So yeah.
He's been very consistent. And like I said, he's been a man of his word. Like he said he's going to do it, and he follows through and he does just that.
Yeah.
And when he fails, he's going to fail. He's going to fail. He's going to say he's going to do something. He's going to make errors in judgment. He's going to disappoint me. I'm going to disappoint him. And the part that we've learned is that when those things happen, that doesn't necessarily always mean that it has to end, but it means we need a conversation.
Right.
And so marriage is not, when they said marriage was work, I was like work? Like what, like staplers and pens and stuff? Like, what do you mean work? Marriage is being married to somebody is a reflection of yourself. So if I'm gonna leave my socks on the side of the bed, I can't yell at you for leaving your socks on the side of the bed. Marriage is like having a mirror of somebody who takes on your habits. Yeah. If you're a person who's very neat and you always wipe the sink after you, use the bathroom or anything, that person eventually will start to wipe the sink because they're watching your habits, and those are the kind of the things, like you guys as best friends, I'm sure that there's something you do that she does. There's definitely things that me and Carmen will do. We'll buy the same shoes and not be in the same state. So, I mean, there's funny. Right. So
half the time we show up to the podcast dressed alike.
Same clothes, okay, same stuff. There we go.
Right.
We definitely use the same lingo.
Oh yeah.
and you know each other. Like you could say to her, "Go get that over there on top of the thing,"
and she knows exactly what you know, where, what, all of
it. And then she'd be like, "Do you want that thing too? Like you want the thing on top of the thing?" There's a this organic relationship.
Yeah.
And so when you have that and you find that, fear steps in and fear goes, wait a minute, this can't be real. Somebody genuinely cares about your well-being all the time, whether it's a female, a male, your spouse, your children. When you have that, that's what you cherish.
Yes.
That's the journey. It doesn't matter who it is. Carmen and I, to be perfectly frank with you, after we did your podcast, we had an argument. And it was a few days, we did, totally. And it was a few days later, and we're having a heated discussion, and we had an argument. And so she was like, how do we just be on that show, talk about we love each other? And
hey, I love it. Because it's a relationship. It's a real relationship.
Because that's what it is. It's a real relationship. Yeah. And it doesn't mean I'm going to abandon you when things get hard. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have differences of opinion. I talk a different way than you talk. I receive a different way than you receive. And so when we went through that, we also knew that the devil was going to test us because we professed out loud how great of friends we are.
Exactly.
The same way, if you say, I want my business to be the best, get ready for some trials of patience, because the more you profess out of your mouth when you're talking about manifesting, the more challenges you're setting yourself up for.
Wow.
Today I posted something and it said, I posted it in our Facebook group and it says that women looking real close to being formed to prosper.
That is funny. Yeah, that was funny. That meme was hilarious.
Yep, right. Shout out to Bestie Brittany for sending that to us this morning.
Gave me a good chuckle.
It did. This is looking real. I know we said that no weapons shall prosper, but this one looking real close.
It's right here.
But if it didn't, we wouldn't know that we were excelling. You know, if you didn't have that test of triumph, that test of testimony, that test of patience with anyone, we wouldn't know how well we're doing. If I look back, and your conversation right now is making me look back at that. If I look back to who I was then, I wouldn't have told anybody in the world that I had gone through domestic violence.
Right.
And now I'm telling anybody who will listen so that they don't walk my steps.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that right there in itself just shows me how it's my reflection of that I've grown.
Yes, the healing journey.
So that's the journey. That's the healing journey of everything. That's whether you're single to married, whether you're a daughter to a mother. When you become a mom, it changes for you. You know, as friends, as lovers, as, you know, dotting and bopping. You may date a dude and it's all good. And then the next day it's not. And it's okay. It's really okay. You know, what's meant for you is not always have to be, permanent. Temporary things are good too. That's what dotting and bopping was. It was temporary. It was my season to live my life the way I wanted to unapologetically. And then when I decided I didn't want to do it anymore, I quit. But that's that's your internal choice. So when you get that fear, Chanel, that you're talking about, when you get to like that point where it's like, is this gonna walk up to and be like, hey, how you doing? I've been through this, I've walked this before, and we gonna be all right. And then you go to your bestie and you go on vacation and you got a little, bob a little, come back.
Okay.
Do it again. Do it again.
Hey, and repeat.
That's right. Rinse and repeat.
And repeat.
That's right.
That's so funny. Look,
Lord, we both
you know the whole reason why I'm
right. I was both over here coughing at the same time.
Y'all make me cough is a problem.
Okay, I swear, a whole problem. But
yes.
No, I think that was good. So then, how did you distinguish between your ex-boyfriend, right, and that being temporary or that not serving you anymore, versus your husband saying, you know what, this is a different season, right? Because to everything there is a season, right?
Right.
A time to plant, the time to pluck up what has been planted.
That's right.
A time to start, time to finish. Y'all know the verse. So like, how did you distinguish between, because like you said, in this relationship, like you said, everybody's not gonna get it right all the time. Sometimes you have to forgive, you have to have an allowance for that, but then there are some situations where it's like, this ain't it.
Yeah. So
how did you distinguish between the two?
Well, my husband told me that if I leave him, he's gonna leave him and come with me. So that was number one. I was
hey,
like,
come on, husband.
We
gonna have to do another episode with husband.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I think we need both of y'all on now.
To do that.
Like, come on.
He would love to do that. I think it was as soon as
you said, we leave. Look, I saw a TikTok where the dude came to the girls' vacation. No, the dude, she was like, babe, I'm gonna sleep on the couch tonight. He's like, oh, so we sleeping on the couch tonight? She was like, no, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. He was like, okay, so we sleeping on the couch tonight.
Exactly.
So,
anything that I say me, he'd be like, yeah, we.
So we doing it. Dude said, oh, so we leaving me?
Right.
Cool.
All right.
When are we done with me? Cool. Because I'm leaving me too.
Cool. Because I'm
That's
going,
right.
and don't worry. Like, we're going together.
Dude
when
said,
we
you
went
may not
to
be in a relationship with me, but I'm in one with you.
When we went to Miami, me and Carmen, we had a girls trip, and my husband was like, well, if you go too far and you see us walking down the beach, me and this baby waving and being like, babe, it's us. We come to get you.
Just wave back.
You're doing too much.
Just
mind your business.
Don't wave back.
Exactly.
Because we here.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So I think what I knew is that now I know where my limits are. I know where my boundaries are. If you get too close to my boundary, then I know that I have to either self-reflect or I have to check out. And I make real clear. So if you're getting close to my boundary, I'm gonna say, if this continues or persists for the next however many times or months or whatever I feel or I deem appropriate, then I'm done. And if you can't respect that, I don't have anything much to say, but you have to tell somebody where your boundaries are.
Right.
You can't be like, a minesweeper where it's like, oh, stepped on a bomb, now you gotta go. It has to be real honest, friends or anybody. So I think the difference is before I didn't have no boundaries. You do what you want to me, I'm, whatever. And now I'm real clear on things I won't accept, the things that I will work with, and the things that are okay.
Right. Yeah. So when you find yourself in those cycles, right, it's like, I've already said it.
Yeah.
Here we are again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you there too many times and you start to make a house and a bed and you got some sheets and some sofas and comforters, then be prepared that the Band-Aid is going to hurt more when you rip it off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So the longer that you stay in that place where it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, and you're not verbalizing that, when you actually are ready to leave that person, it will hurt you more than it hurts them.
Mm.
That won't be about them. That'll be about you. Because you said, okay, okay, okay. And then you look at the person, you go, and now you left me and I'm distraught. No, baby, you had many a time to say, I don't want to hurt me anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not okay with what you're doing. I'm going to excuse myself from the table and you can sit here alone.
And they have no clue. Like,
no, but you ain't saying nothing.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
There are times when I'll tell my husband specifically, like, you have 3 months to fix this, or I can't do that part. And so, that timetable where we started in our relationship of what time it will take you to do something or accomplish something, I really stick to that. If in 90 days you can't change your behavior of something, then that's not your behavior, that's your character.
Yeah, I agree. If you tell somebody something and they continue to keep doing it, it's at that point, it's a choice. Right.
That's right.
I've said it, and I don't have to feel like I should have to keep repeating myself. So yeah.
I'm not going to.
I meant what I said. I said what I meant.
I said what I said.
Said what I said.
That is very true. Yes, like you said, it's a character trait at that point. That's what's up.
Yes.
Yes. And then I think that it does become incumbent on you to follow through, right? Yeah. Because now, if you don't take action, then you are allowing. Right. So then it's like, well, you can start off by being mad at this person, but really you should be mad at yourself because now you're tolerating.
Yep.
Well, that's that rehab that you're talking about. So when you're in that place and position, if you're going to keep having to go to rehab, then you have to acknowledge you're an addict.
Come on.
That's what it is. If you keep going to rehab and you keep meeting the same dude and you keep dating the same dude and you keep getting in the same situation with the baby mama and whoever else and the girl and the DMs and all that, the problem is not the person. The problem is that you didn't heal when you were in rehab.
Right.
So you have to really evaluate, and you have to evaluate what rehab looks like. Is it 90 days? Is it no sex? Is it, prayer? Is it fasting? Is it, just me and my girls? Is it solitude? What is it really going to take for you to get in with yourself so that you're clear where you at?
That's
right.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah, I think
that's
that was
good.
A huge gem right there.
Yep.
I think you have deciding what that rehab looks like for you.
Or all of the above.
Or
Look,
or all of the above.
There are times where you may need to do fasting, where you need to do solitude, where you need to do celibacy, where you need to do all of them, part of them, none of them.
But deciding what it is, like you have to make that choice. And I think, that's where some people go wrong, that they don't do the rehab part. Like they just think that, I don't need to do that.
Right.
Like I could do it cold turkey, or I could do it. Like I'm good.
Right. And not continuously jumping back into another relationship, right after the failed one. Take the time to be like, okay, well, what does my rehab look like this time? How is this going to be different than the time before?
Yeah.
I feel like I have done we've done all kinds of rehab.
And listen, I'm like, we know about the rehab, and it looks different each time.
It does look different each time. Because I think that what happens is as you meet new people, you discover something else about yourself. And then you're like, we ain't doing that no more. How can I heal this?
Yeah.
And so the rehab looks different because what was exposed is different.
It looks different. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
also, what you're addicted to is different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you trade one addiction for another.
Yep. Ooh.
So, if you trade one addiction for another, then you need a whole nother rehab. And shouts out to Lakita for her 30-day journal on the peace. That was another form of rehab.
Absolutely. That was a huge rehab.
That was dope.
Yeah, that sounds hard.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes rehab is hard.
Listen, sometimes you be crying.
That's right.
And sometimes it's, I've done different things by myself. I've done some things with my friends. We went to the Woman Evolve conference, and if that wasn't Rehab,
oh yeah, that was also Rehab.
Then I don't know what it is.
Kicking my butt, and every time Sarah make me mad, I slam it and put it on the table. Like, I didn't ask for Eve today. I did not ask for Eve
look
today.
You said, why is you in my business, Sarah?
Hello,
like, come on now, get out my business.
Exactly.
Wow, no, that was good. I'm gonna have to run this part back, because that was huge. And I think like hearing it in these terms again, I like analogies and stuff, like it clicks. But I do think that like you got to do the rehab part, and that's the only way you're gonna come out with changed behavior, changed habits.
Right. But I think that only happens if you are able to self-reflect, right? So if there is no accountability, and that could be your addiction, right? I'm addicted to people who don't hold me accountable. So therefore, I'm never the issue. I'm never the problem.
It's always them. Yeah.
Whatever. I'm healed. All is well.
I'm good.
I am good. Right.
I'm finished healing.
Finished.
Yeah.
But and that's what I love about the podcast, right? Is that it's a continual journey, and that we just keep discovering new things to heal
every time.
But you guys use transparency, which is real, and that's the part, is that a lot of people look for what makes other people happy or say what makes somebody else feel good. The fact of the matter is, once you get to a certain point where transparency is all you have, then whether I fail or I don't fail, you're going to see it. Whether I do well or my marriage ends, you're going to see it, because I've accepted the fact that I'm not always going to be perfect. I'm not always going to be the best wife, the best friend, the best mother. And that's just my truth. And so once you live in transparency with the world, anything and anyone that has something to say in relationship to that's not positive, that's your truth. That's okay. But it's not my real truth. It's not my transparency. Right. So as long as you're in a place where you're willing to be transparent, and that doesn't mean all the time. It don't mean like I'm gonna be raw and all. It just means that when I reflect something out into the world or in relationship, I'm gonna take a moment or a pause to look at where I'm the factor in the matter.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. What role did I play? Because sometimes you're the enabler, you're the accepting, or sometimes you're the one stirring the pot.
Right? Listen, you got to. That's such a huge part of healing, is knowing the part that you play in it all. Like, you got to, because I feel like that makes you not like a narcissist or something. Like, it makes you human. Yeah. Like, that's the human part.
Either you're enabling the
because
dysfunction,
for somebody to hold the pot,
the dysfunction.
In order to stir the pot, somebody has to hold the pot. And that's the part a lot of people look at, is that in order for somebody to stir your pot, somebody else is holding it. And sometimes the person holding the pot, allowing the stirring, is you.
Exactly.
So if you want to allow people to dip their spoon in your stuff and stir it all around and get you all wound up, the person holding that pot is you. Wow. There's nobody else to take responsibility for that.
Right. Yeah.
So in my regard, when it comes to me, I was responsible because I stayed in a place that was not unloving. I stayed in a place that was not acceptable. I stayed in a place that was volatile. I stayed in a place that was toxic. And now today I choose not to.
Iyanla, she had something that I saw on TikTok where she was, it was somebody actually reenacting it, so it was funny. But the message was good, and it was like, it was like, beloved. But it was, it was like, beloved. It was like I stayed in a relationship for 14 years where I wasn't being loved the way that I needed to be loved. And I kept thinking, well, maybe he'll see me. Maybe he'll get it. Maybe he'll change. And she was like, and then the other day I decided I'm no longer going to stay in a relationship where I'm not loved the way that I want to be loved. So I left. You know what I mean? So I agree. So, I guess what I'm saying is you can be mad that the person didn't love you for 14 years, or you could say, I no longer choose this.
Yeah.
Because while they've been the one not loving you the way you wanted, but you've been the one allowing it.
Accepting it. Yeah.
Look, if they didn't break the cycle, then you have to.
You got to step away.
Somehow the cycle needs to be broken.
They've been consistent.
And look, and when people show you who they are, right? Believe them.
You got to.
Because
believe them.
Whoever that person is, your spouse, everything I went through, he showed me he was going to do it over and over and over again. And I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to be the person who said, not the next time, not this time. You didn't mean it. It was an accident. You were sorry. Because I really wanted to believe that the actions that you took were not in malice or in vain, or you weren't trying to hurt me, when the actual fact is you were. And you were intentional in your quest. So who was I to keep giving you this, grace over and over again? Grace is to be extended sporadically. It's supposed to be something that you've earned. You've earned grace. You don't just get grace because,
And grace is not, it's not something that you're entitled to.
Yeah.
I think that's the part, because for me, like if I do something to somebody, or if I do something, it could even be at work, whatever, I expect the consequences.
Yeah.
And I saw something else on TikTok where the person was like, oh my God, this person is so upset with me because I left them because they did this to me. And then the other person was like, they're mad because of the consequences. Right. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things too, where how we grew up shapes who we are. But me and my brother have this ongoing conversation that we've been having our whole lives about consequences, where like something will happen and he'll be like, and I can't believe that they don't believe that this is where they are, because it is. And I'm like, some people don't get consequences. And then there's times where he has to tell me the same thing that I told him, where I'm like, I can't believe that this person is upset that this is where this is, but they caused it. And then he's like, but remember, some people, a lot of times, some people don't hold people accountable. Yeah. So now when someone's holding you accountable, you don't know what to do with it. You think that they're wrong. Yeah. But we got here because what you did. So here we are.
Yeah. Or you think they're being mean to you, or being different, or you acting different.
Right. You acting different.
Yeah.
But I will say too, but on the other side though, it can be shocking, because when you were talking about, obviously your boyfriend, you was with him for so long, it made me think about my first boyfriend, who I was with for a long time, and I tolerated way too much and stayed way too long and said everything I said, and he was sorry and he never gonna do it and blah blah blah. And then the day that I actually got up and left, he could not believe that I left.
He was shocked.
No. And he was like, I can't believe, and I mean literally he turned the whole issue into, I can't believe you're going to throw away this many years of a relationship because of this. And I'm thinking, I can't believe you would hurt me like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he was stuck on, I can't believe you're going to leave me after all this time. And I'm like, I don't understand why you don't understand why I left. I think that you think that I'm just going to sit here and just put up with it.
Yeah. And
because no one's been holding you accountable.
Right.
But today.
It's today.
It starts here.
It's a new day.
It's a new day. And it's funny how the character came out. Like, I can't believe like this was it, knowing all the other stuff that I did to you.
Exactly. But there's always a straw that breaks the camel. The whole saying is for a purpose. It's a straw. A straw is light. You can hardly feel it. It's a straw that breaks the camel's back. But look, that was you tap it dancing on the last nerve, and I don't know when you're gonna hit it, and you don't know when you're gonna hit it either. But guess what? You know it when you do it.
Exactly. You know it when you do it.
You know it when you do it.
I didn't want to wait for the last straw to be my daughter over my grave.
Yeah. Jesus.
And so, and I didn't want it to be her over her father's either.
Right.
Because whether it was gonna be one of us was going
somebody
down.
was gonna die. Yeah.
Right. So at a certain point, it had to be, I have to save myself. I can't help you. I can't save you. I can't be who you need me to be. I have to save myself. And that's the thing. It's funny. I was talking to my kids today, and they were talking about Titanic and how Rose was holding on to Jack's hand. And they were saying, why didn't she just stay with him? Why didn't she, help him on her boat? Because there's a certain acceptance point where you have to know that if I don't let you go, I'm going with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna die too. Right. And all of this would have been in vain. So
that's right. And so, what I said is that at a certain point, she realized that it was too cold. She had value. And whether Jack was going to be okay or not, she needed to save herself. And so that's the part in relationship is if you get to the point where you really are looking at it and it's going to be me or you, save yourself. Because the other person's going to do what they want to do, whether you save them or not.
Right.
Jack could have got, the other lady on the boat. I mean, you would know, but I have to choose me. I'm saying, Rose could have saved him and he could have went with the other lady.
Hey, anything. Hilarious.
I had to choose me. I had to save myself. And that, when you come in this world, you come alone.
Yep.
I didn't say, hey, when you on your way out, bring somebody with you. He said, I brought you, as my mom said, I brought you in this world and I take you out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a solo job.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to wait and waste your life on someone else who has no value for you, no love, no respect, that's fine. But I promise you there's somebody out there who will do different.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And when they come, it won't be when you're ready. It won't be when, it's perfect timing. It won't be any of that. It will be when your life is together and then they come and they crash and like, yay, I'm here.
Right. Offering to help with math homework.
It's me here to help you.
It's me.
That's right.
Surprise.
That's funny. That is hilarious. That is, ooh, that was such a word.
That is so dope. So then what have you learned from this journey? And maybe we should get into the to-go box. So I'm gonna give you a chance. We'll start with Chanel. Protocol. What goes into the to-go box? What are we taking away from the episode?
This was such a great episode. Like it flowed like perfectly, and you shared everything. So I feel like wow. And I would like to see you and your husband together having a conversation. I think that would be amazing, actually. But I am taking away just the healing aspect of it, and to know when rehab is necessary, like when you need to do that part of it. And figuring out what rehab works well for you at that time. So like right now, it's so funny, sidebar, but the other day, my son's father asked me to pick up his mom and take her to this thing we were going to. So in my head, I'm like, but I'm like, okay, cool. Like we in a good space. I ain't gonna be like that. Like me and my son, dad, we've been tight. So I'm like, all right, I'll go get her. So she's in my car and she's like, oh, so are you dating? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Like,
you're like, ma'am, I'm over. Get in the car. Like, this is a sign.
I'm just driving you to the thing. But no, so we were talking. I'm like, you know what? Right now, like I'm not dating. It's not really on my radar. I'm like, what I'm doing is I'm enjoying life. Like I'm living in the moment. Like I hang out with my friends. So I think that is part of my rehab right now. Like doing things that I want to do for me. Like what makes me happy. So I think that is very necessary and it's very important when you're on these specific journeys, because it will make you like, it's putting that another layer around yourself to be more well-rounded.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you acknowledge that. And I'm glad that even though you extended your boundary when her conversation went too far, you said, that conversation, you don't have that access anymore.
Yeah, so, I was like, what?
I'm not your son's anybody, so you don't have the authority to ask me those questions. That was amazing.
Yeah,
super kudos to you.
Listen, I tried. I was like, what? But yeah, listen, the devil tried to trick me, but I was like, no.
That's right.
Coming real
That's right.
Listen, real
bad weapon coming real.
I was like,
that's right.
How did I get here?
That's right. Absolutely.
That is funny. So, Leah, tell us, what about you? What are you taking away? And of course, my question that I snuck in there.
Right. And the last question.
From going through that journey, like what was your biggest takeaway or your biggest learning?
That I can recover. That you can always recover. And I think that that's the other thing that I'm getting from our conversation tonight, is that there's a healing in speaking. There's a healing in sharing. Yes. And, a lot of people, when they go into those, into any kind of addictive meetings, they say, hi, my name is, and they tell you why they're there.
Yep.
That's not because you have a problem. That's acknowledgement. And so it doesn't take a room or a space of people who are like you. It just takes you saying to the world unapologetically that I was in a place that I'm no longer at, and I'm gonna be okay. Right. And so I guess my takeaway is I'm still okay, baby. I'm still okay.
I love it. I have a lot of takeaways, but I guess I'm going to just try to. So, I came up with this whole analogy about being addicted to people and comparing it to drug addicts. Number one, because my dad is an addict. But number two, because Scarlett invited me into this group and a girl posted and she was asking for help. And she was like, what do I need to do? And I wrote in there, I think that we can become addicted to people because it's a part of our pathology. you know, and we find ourselves in similar situations because of how we grew up, and just how addicts who are rehab, we need to do those things as well. But I feel like you took this whole analogy to a whole another level, you know, by explaining that there are different types of rehabs. And I'm loving the analogy, because I guess I didn't realize it, but we do that.
Yeah.
Chanel and I have been doing that in all different types of ways, including this podcast. But we're always looking to evolve, always looking to change, always looking to stretch and become better than who we were before, and looking to be accountable, right? And focusing on what we can do to change the outcome of something if it didn't go as planned, or if it's not, if it doesn't align with what we're looking to accomplish. And I think one of my biggest takeaways from you is the whole idea of being, I feel like you're very strong in your identity, right? You were like, well, there was a time before I didn't have this boyfriend, so I can be without him, you know, made it here without him.
Right.
Right.
Did that.
So must be okay. And then too, I love the fact that you allowed room for your daughter to, because you could have been like, stay in the child's place. You could have been like, mind your business. You could have been like, I'm going to do what I was shown. Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to continue. This is just my life. I just accept it. Because some people, because they are addicted to certain types of people, will stew in toxicity and actually won't accept anything but a toxic relationship. Just off the sheer fact that it's normal to them. So I applaud you for being strong enough to change the trajectory, to allow your daughter that voice. And then also for you to be reflective and introspective, and to be conscious of, I have to break this cycle. You know, I think that's big. Like, we have to be so intentional. It's hard to change. A lot of people don't understand it. People say, oh, I changed, I'm not the same, I don't do this no more. It takes work, because you have to go against your reflex. You have to say, I want to cuss you out, but I ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? You're trying to bring me to my lower self, but I ain't gonna do it.
Yep.
And the people
not gonna go there.
I
want to respond, but I ain't gonna do it.
I ain't gonna do it.
You ain't gonna make me go there.
That's surface level stuff when you say that.
Exactly. But things are such, when it really is a habit, you have a way of responding and interacting with people, and it takes a lot to be conscious to see that. And then, you know, when you're growing with people, because, you know, like you said, you were with him for a long time. So there were little time frames where you were evolving and changing, and he didn't grow with you. You know, and so then you had to grow apart, unfortunately. And I think that that's another aspect too. Go ahead.
It's so powerful that you that you've acknowledged all those things, because when you're in it, it don't feel like that. You know, a lot of people don't know their growth because it looks so dark. I can recall a time when I was just sitting in the car and I was crying. I was on the phone with Carmen, and I was like, I don't know if anybody will love me anymore, and he doesn't love me, and I don't love me, and who's going to love me? And so I was crying, and she said, one thing I'll tell you for sure is that they always come back. And so be prepared, because you're going to get that same person. I don't care how long, how often, how whatever. Your past is going to recircle itself and present itself to have an opportunity again. And that's when you'll know if you're ready. That's when you'll know if you really were done. That's when you'll know if you've built your strength up, if you've built your identity up. That's when you'll know, because I assure you, he came back. And I had a good fourth finger ring, and I was like, nah, bro, we good over here. We got a daddy.
Listen.
We all got a daddy.
Listen, we're good. Okay.
That's Scarlett's favorite quote. She always says they always come back. And when I tell you that girl has never lied, I don't know what that is, but dudes, they do. They always come back.
Always. Friends, relationships, jobs.
Yeah.
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, to me, that's the test.
Yeah.
Are you who you said you are?
That's right.
Are you going to continue to be who you say that you're going to be? So, yeah.
And that's the only thing you have to respond to. That's it. That's the only thing. You don't owe nobody an explanation. You don't owe nobody a why. You don't have to explain why it's not the time anymore. You just have to say, that was our season.
Yeah.
And now it's done.
And now it's done.
And that's okay. I said good day.
That is Chanel's common response. Oh my God.
And good day.
I swear to God, I could text Chanel and be like, so such and such text me. She'd be like, I said good day.
I said good day. Like, we ain't going back.
Oh.
You know what's funny? Look, we just running way over time. But look,
I know. I'm sorry.
There is this one guy who I told him in the beginning, I said, I don't go back. So this was like in the beginning where everything was good, right? Things were not bad, nothing happened. There was no, I just said, I don't go back. I said, because to me, it doesn't mean that people haven't changed and evolved and grown, right? But to me, we're going to recreate what already was. Mm-hmm. And if I already learned that this ain't it and that this didn't work, there's no need to go back. So if you changed and grown and you have evolved, then be better to the next one, because I'm not coming back. And he said to me, I think that's a red flag to me. And I said, no. I'm telling you now, that is it. If it don't work out, that I'm cool with that. So you may think that it's a red flag, but I'm telling you that this is my boundary.
Right.
and to me, anytime that I communicate a boundary and then people try to go against it, like if I say I ain't coming and you like, oh, I'm just gonna act like, no, I said I wasn't coming.
That's right.
So to me, I'll be like, fine, you can do whatever you want. I've already said it. Now you ain't hear it, you ain't listening, you don't agree, and therefore you don't acknowledge, but I've already said what I said.
I said what I said. It's
so
what book have you ever read where the chapter goes backwards?
Hello.
That's good.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it means to me, right? It doesn't mean that I think you're a bad person.
Right.
It doesn't mean I think you're a horrible man and you won't be a good spouse or, whatever. All I'm saying is our time is done.
Yeah, for me. We're done.
That's all I'm saying.
And good day.
And good day.
And good day.
And as Bestie said, good day.
Good day.
That's right.
I said good day. Listen, ain't no
and I also
back.
stopped blocking people. Like I stopped blocking people because you're more than welcome to be a voyeur, watch me, whatever. But we good over. I'm good.
We good over here.
We good over here.
That's funny.
And good day. I'm gonna put that as my caption.
There you go.
That is Chanel's go-to, honey.
I love that.
I love that. They always come back. But like you said, you could voyeur, you could watch from afar. No.
But I think that's the problem though, because then we get mad at them. But it's really on us. Because if we communicated the boundary, then we gotta stick to it.
Yeah.
Or even if we just made a promise to ourselves, we didn't even have to tell them. When we made a commitment to ourselves, we gotta be accountable to ourselves.
That's good. Yeah.
That's rehab.
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 Alrighty. Girl, we would have to have you come back. Child.
Absolutely. Anything y'all need.
All
so
right.
I want to share with y'all my love. But my husband and I made a candle. It's called The Love Bubble. So we actually wrote a book together with a whole bunch of different couples. It's called Money Talks, and I'll send you guys a link over so you can put in your stuff.
Absolutely.
It is 16 different couples, and we all kind of wrote a chapter about love, money, and entrepreneurship. And from there, we created the Love Bubble, and that's where you go, where everything good in in that place. If you light it, it smells amazing. It comes with a little spoon. It turns into massage oil, and whether it's just you and yourself, or you and your friend, or you and your thoughtin' and bopping. You have a little something. So we'll get one over to you guys.
So cute.
But the amazing caramel girl, she created it for us, and it was just really exciting. So I'm really excited to share our love with you guys.
That is awesome.
Congrats to you both. That's what's up. So
somebody's been busy since the last episode, honey.
I have to get me and my now we in a bestie race. It's just friend check.
Okay. Friend check. I love it.
But I'm very proud of y'all ladies. I wish you much more success, and I'd love to be on the show anytime you need me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time.
Peace.